Your adventurers exit the woods quickly. They know that whatever is behind them is quickly gaining. They find themselves in an open field with thick fog. This fog is laying at their feet. Off in the distance, they see a bridge. The bridge has a long iron railing. The wizard, who is in front, rushes forward and grabs the iron railing. It breaks under his own weight, and the iron railing penetrates his silk glove, pooling blood on the inside. His eyes widen, and he realizes that whatever is behind them may have caught their scent. Past that bridge, he sees the faint image of a village. In front of this village are long iron spikes. On top of them are werewolf heads. Your adventurers have to make a quick decision, and they do. They enter into this village and find themselves in the village of Barovia. This is the Curse of Strahd. Hi, my name is Bo, and today we're going to be talking about Curse of Strahd. It is a wonderful adventure that is set in the land of Barovia. Imagine a place that is about 600 years ago in the country of Hungary. The villain is Strahd, the vampire, a sinister and evil person that has been trapped in this extra-dimensional plane that leads us in the description of many different things. But let us start off with why we are here. We as Dungeon Masters work long hours to try to put together a compelling story that is put together by someone else, such as Wizards of the Coast, or by your own homebrew. We have to scour the internet. We have to dive into the books. We work long and tireless hours to try to figure out what we can do, and that is why I am here. This is going to be your one-stop shop in order to get all the information that you need in order to run a successful campaign. So let's start off with what we need to know about the Curse of Strahd. The first person is Strahd von Zarovich. Strahd von Zarovich is the fictional depiction of Vlad the Impaler, a man who has found himself through stories and lore to be unquestionably the very first vampire to ever exist. On to Barovia. This land is bleak and dark. Clouds loom overhead every part of the day, whether it's night or what feels like the middle of the day. The sun almost never rises completely. The clouds obscure the light at every chance possible. There is deadly fog that looms on the outskirts of the land that this place is trapped in. And Strahd knows this, because he can't exit this plane either. The people of Barovia are called Vistani. They are the trapped humans that Strahd had conquered hundreds of years ago. There are very few of them that have souls. Those who do have souls are willing, though very reluctant, to talk to the party. The other ones are called husks. They do not talk to the party and are very reluctant to even speak to anyone. We've touched on the main bad guy. We know the lay of the land and the people that reside in it. Now let's talk about the module itself. The module is laid out very poorly. The very beginning gives you the ability to easily bring the people into this world. Now, I'm not going to spoil any of that because that's not what I'm here for. What I want to discuss is how to build this module so you have the best chance of hooking your players in and keeping them for the long haul. You will not be able to grab this module off the shelf and start running it as a cold read. It is darn near impossible for that to happen. The beginning is very easy. It brings you into the world through those 4 different adventure hooks, but you're going to have to jump from chapter to chapter and appendice to appendice to try to find all the information that you're going to need in order to get your players the information that they are asking. Now I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to have to take a lot of notes for this module. With all the other modules that are out there, Storm King's Thunder, Prince of the Apocalypse, Horde the Dragon Queen, you can read through the first couple of chapters and get an understanding of what this module is about. With Curse of Strahd, that is not the case. Your players are going to ask you for all sorts of information, and you're going to be going through different places that are in different parts of the book, different chapters and different appendices. That is the biggest problem with this campaign. Let's take a look at your adventuring party that is going to be running through this module. The first two character classes that you're going to probably want to suggest to your players are going to be either a cleric or a paladin. Now, I have seen time and time again that there are groups of people that have run through modules that are rangers, fighters, barbarians, and wizards, and not a single healer in the entire group. Now, you could say that a ranger has some healing, but that is ridiculous. A ranger is not your primary healer, and nor should he or she be dubbed the person that should be doing such a job. It is the Dungeon Master's job now to entice these people to have these types of classes running through the Curse of Strahd. The reason being, this land is going to try to kill them at every turn. So entice them by giving these clerics, these paladins, a little bit of an extra push or a nudge that will get them moving in that direction. I know that it is not always that much fun to play a support class that isn't up in the fray like a barbarian or like a fighter or doing as much damage as a warlock or a wizard, but you have to remember this. Without the healer, this party could fall apart on one roll, and that will make the entire campaign fall apart at the seams. The next group of people that you're going to probably want to push people towards or even suggest will be a ranger or a druid. This lay of the land is swamps and forest and mountains and just areas that a druid or a ranger are going to be well suited for. Now, again, these two groups aren't all that powerful at the very beginning, but they're going to help the party, and that is the Dungeon Master's incentive to kind of coax them into doing something that will be extremely helpful for the rest of the party and bring elements into the story that help those two classes along and entice them by adding maybe some extra weapons or items that they're going to want to have when they defeat certain enemies. Finally, you're going to be wanting someone that is able to take a hit, whether that be your paladin or that be a fighter or barbarian. These three people are extremely well suited for this adventure. Now, again, you could say all of these are well suited for every adventure, but you have to remember, a well-balanced group is going to make everyone's life easier, including yours as the Dungeon Master. Remember this, not every session is going to be perfect, but these little tips that Matthew Mercer or Satine Phoenix give you are very, very good at helping your players stay engaged with you and stay hooked on the storyline that you are now telling. This brings us to NPCs and enemies of Barovia. The first one is Strahd von Zarovich. He is a very complex and very difficult person to understand if you are not the Dungeon Master. He has his own wants. He has his own goals. He loves to watch his enemies suffer as they run the gauntlet of death inside the land of Barovia. The next is Irina. Now, I've researched this a lot, and there have been multiple places, and especially a place on Reddit that discusses the idea about how to run her. One says that the Dungeon Master should be running this character. But another that I'm going to put the link down below talks about how another player can run this character. Now that's a very interesting thing, because if you are talking as Strahd and having the player respond as Irina, you're going to see the entire group gasp as secrets are revealed. The third is Ismark. Now, Ismark is an important person because he is the information station that will be readily available to you when you are in the village of Barovia. And as the players grow in level and they help out the village, he's going to help them out as well. And if they find themselves dying at the hands of Baba Lysaga or the Bone Grinder, there's going to be another person at the inn with Ismark ready to take their place with the group. It is very important that you're going to need to know all of these characters like the back of your hand. Strahd, Irina, and Ismark. Those three people are very important. Now, I already talked about Baba Lysaga, but you're going to have to read that for yourself. There's other people and other places that you're going to need to know. And if you don't know them very well, the next thing that you're going to find yourself doing is flipping page to page. You're going to have to pause the game. You're going to have to start reading up on what's going on with that person. Know your NPCs that you are going to be delivering to your players. If you do not do this, it's going to look really bad, and the players are going to lose that sense of immersion that you have tried so hard to bring them into. This world lends itself to having your adventures go anywhere they want. That is amazing, and that is why I love this story, and that is one of the reasons why a lot of people enjoy playing this game. But the problem with that is the Dungeon Master may not have something prepared, or may not have read far enough or remembered what is over in that section of the world. That is why the random encounter tables for the Curse of Strahd are absolutely amazing. There are random encounter tables for out in the wilderness or in a castle. This random encounter table gives the Dungeon Master a little bit of breathing room, so when the players are done with that encounter, they can find themselves moving back into the lines of the story that get them to the final goal of meeting up with Strahd. Now, Matthew Colville has stated in multiple videos talking about challenge rating and having this idea that challenge rating doesn't really mean a whole lot. And I agree with that. You can have a player go into an area that may be a little bit too weak for them. You can bump up their hit points or give them extra abilities. You could also have a player go into an area that is way too powerful for them. You can dumb it down a little bit or lighten the hit points on them so they don't get themselves slaughtered immediately. This brings us into the next part. Time, or how time is perceived in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Matthew Colville did an amazing video about how he accidentally found himself in a sticky situation that he didn't realize he had until after the fact that the session was over. He realized that he could speed time up so things don't last that long, or slow things down so players can breathe and understand the severity of their actions. Now, it is the Dungeon Master's job to realize that these things are happening, and sometimes you may not realize that this is going on until after the fact. But I am here to reassert that idea that remembering the severity of someone's actions can make huge consequences or huge ramifications in the Curse of Strahd. Strahd can also realize that things are happening and he can stop them at any point, at any time. He is in control of this world, and nothing in this world is outside of his limits when it comes to magic or when it comes to time or the perception of reality. When it comes to the reality of Barovia, Strahd is in control. He can manipulate magic. He can manipulate how people think or how they act. The best thing in this book that I see that Strahd can do that is not directly visible to the players is how magic is altered inside of the Barovian landscape, from the way that alarms sound in your head to how Bigby's hand forms in front of you. It is how magic is completely manipulated and almost bastardized inside of the land of Barovia. Remember, the instant you let Strahd's will not have full effect over everything that is going on here, the players will understand, oh, maybe there is a loophole into something. But the more you hold on to that, you're going to show the players that Strahd is playing with them, and the only way to stop it is to go and finish him off. That is why this module is so sinister and so deadly. Now, wrapping things up, this module is going to be one that your players are going to remember for a very long time. And that is really exciting because you're going to be the dungeon master that is going to have them running through Barovia, Castle Ravenloft, and defeating Strahd, or maybe failing. These players are going to stay with you if you use all these little different techniques that I have given in the tutorial. But please, remember this. It is only a game. Have fun with it. That is what this is all about. Dungeons and Dragons is something that gives people the escape that they need in order to let go of the problems that they may have right now. And it is your job to help them along and stay the course, so they know that next week when they have this game out on that table at that game store or down in your basement or somewhere else, that they know that this is going to be an adventure that they will remember. So, until next time, have fun adventuring.